All right, I'm going to start recording. All right, I might just open it up, but maybe we can hang out for a second and just see if, because there were actually quite a few people on the who registered. So I'm hoping some more folks kind of roll in. So I'm going to admit everyone, okay? Hello to everyone who's joining us. Hello, hello. We're just going to wait a few more minutes to see. We're still waiting on a few more people to roll in. So let me just wait a little longer to see if we have some more people joining us. Thank you for your patience. Hello, everyone coming in. We're just going to give it just a little longer. Thank you so much for being here and joining us today on this Friday afternoon. We're just waiting to see if a few more people will be joining us, and then we'll get started shortly. Hello. Hello, welcome. Welcome people joining us. We're just waiting on a few more people. Maybe give it a few more minutes and see where we're at. But thank you for being here, joining us today. For those of you who are here with us, this is actually the photograph that you're looking at is the exhibition, Respond, Resist, Rethink, a student poster and video show installed. This is sort of outside of the gallery as you're coming up. This is what it looks like. Maybe I'll go, and this is sort of inside the exhibition. We're going to get started in just a second here. Okay, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Yeah, thank you all for joining us. Hello and welcome. My name is Jennifer Junkmeyer-Khan. I'm the Outreach and Public Engagement Coordinator here at Stamps Gallery, which is part of the Stamps School of Art and Design at the University of Michigan. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am pleased to welcome you all here today to the Respond, Resist, Rethink, a Stamps student poster and video exhibition virtual panel discussion. This event is being held in conjunction with the show Respond, Resist, Rethink, a Stamps student poster and video exhibition, which is currently on view at Stamps Gallery. It opens September 8th and will be on view until October 23rd. So please stop by and see it. Excited to report that Stamps Gallery is open to the public. Yay! For part of last year because of COVID, unfortunately, we were closed to the public, but we are back open to everyone and all. The gallery hours are Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Thursday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Masks are required to come into the gallery, and when you arrive at the gallery, we'll ask you to fill out a UM's Responsible Health Survey. But once you have that, yeah, you are more than welcome to come into the space, and we hope that you all come and visit us really soon. We're excited to see people again and have folks in the space. Yeah, and for more information about Stamps Gallery and some details about our programs, you can check out the Stamps Gallery website webpage on the Stamp School of Art and Design website, and I'll throw that in the chat for you later to check out. Just want to make a quick note, this event is being recorded, so if you do not want to be in the recording, please turn off your video. And then if everyone can just keep themselves muted throughout the event unless you're speaking, we would greatly appreciate that. For those of you who have not been to Stamps Gallery before, Stamps Gallery is a professionally run art gallery that functions as an incubator and lab for contemporary artists and designers to explore ideas and projects that catalyze social change. Building on the school's strong tradition of excellence, thought leadership, and community engagement, our goal is to develop innovative and scholarly exhibitions, publications, and public programs that foster inclusive platforms for presentation, discussion, and inquiry into the urgent questions and concerns of our time. A commitment to social justice shapes our work that we hope inspires new ways of looking, making, and thinking. The gallery is housed in an 8,000 square foot exhibition space located in downtown Ann Arbor, where every year we present 2 to 4 student exhibitions and 3 to 5 exhibitions with renowned artists and designers working locally, nationally, and internationally. Also on view with Respond, Resist, Rethink, a Stamp student poster and video exhibition, is the show titled Stephanie Dinkins on Love and Data that is curated by Stamps Gallery Director Shrimoy Mitra. On Love and Data includes newly commissioned work and interactive installations that explore artificial intelligence, data, and algorithms as they intersect race, gender, aging, and the directions of our future. This exhibition is also on view until October 23rd. And for more information, again, please visit the Stamps Gallery webpage on the Stamps School of Art and Design website. Now I will turn it over to Stamps Gallery Director Shrimoy Mitra.
Thank you, Jennifer. Hi, everyone. My name is Shrimoy Mitra. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am a South Asian woman wearing a blue jacket and a pink blouse. I have dark black hair and I have a stark white background behind me. So I'm very excited to be here today to welcome you to the panel discussion and to hear from the artists and the students who are part of Respond, Resist, Rethink 2021, a Stamp student poster and video exhibition. So I wanted to just provide a little bit of a context for the show. Last fall, which is the fall of 2020, we launched while as the pandemic ravaged through the country, and we mourned the losses of our near and dear, revealing, which also revealed the sort of the disparities in health and the racial disparities, and also amplified with the police brutality. We realized that it was really important to have more opportunities for students to create a platform for students from Stamps, at Stamps, to present their work, to create a platform to amplify their voices and their ideas. And that is really where Respond, Resist, Rethink was developed. As we discussed, through the whole summer while we were closed, we had various conversations with students, faculty, and staff. The way the exhibition unfolds is that we put out an open call for students, grads and undergrads, to respond to. And in 2020, we invited students to think about, to envision equitable models for inclusion. We had a fantastic response, this exhibition is really an exhibition for the Stamps community. And so we developed a selection committee, which is composed of students, staff, and faculty, who then selected the works from those that were submitted. It also led to really fantastic, meaningful conversations, behind the scenes, and also sort of the similar panel discussion that we did last year. So that experience really made it clear to us that we needed to continue the show and make it sort of an annual event. So this year, in last fall, this year, 2021, we put out a call, and this year the prompt was to invite students to think about, to share with us what change they would like to create in their community. And once again, I've been inspired and amazed with the responses. And I want to thank all the students who have applied and all of you who are part of the show this year. I also want to especially thank our wonderful selection committee, which includes Juliana Liu, who is an artist and also recruiting coordinator at Stamps, Najwa, I'm sorry, I'm going to read the names, Professor David Chung, who is also the MFA, the director of the MFA program, an artist and filmmaker. 2021 MDes student Najwat Rehman, and undergrad, Stamps undergrad, Albert Che. So sincere thanks to all of you for your for your time and generosity and wonderful conversations that we had. Also want to say and a special thanks and shout out to Stamps senior Adriana Ocala, who worked with us throughout the summer in really bringing this exhibition to fruition. She also took the lead in sort of developing the layout for the show. So thanks, Adriana, for all your work. So I'm very excited to now hear from each of you, all the artists in the show, and I'd like to turn it back to Stamps Gallery's Public Engagement and Outreach Coordinator, Jennifer Jankamara-Khan, who will be moderating the conversation today. So take it away, Jennifer.
Thanks, Shannon. Okay, so before we move on to the artist presentations, I just want to give you a quick rundown of our event. So following these opening remarks, we'll be sharing images of all the artwork in the exhibition and photographs of the exhibition currently installed in the gallery. I was kind of, while we were speaking, we were kind of going through some of those. Here's a few more of those images. So there are 8 artists who have work included in the exhibition. And I believe 7 of those artists are here with us today. I don't know if all 7 will be speaking, but I did see Molly pop in. Anyways, but Molly, if you want to jump in, we have a slide for you, so just let us know. But of course, if not, that's okay too. So yeah, and then once the participating artists have wrapped up, we'll have some time to take some questions from the public. And then I have some questions for the artists as well. So we'll see sort of how the event unfolds today and how much time we have. But yeah, after the presentations, we'll go over to questions. If you do have questions, feel free to post those in the chat. We'll keep an eye on that, but we just make a note that we won't take any questions until the end after everyone's presented. So great. So I'm going to go ahead and go to, so meeting the artist this year of Respond, Resist, Rethink. So first up is Nick Azaro. So I'll hand it over to Nick.
All right, well, thank you. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for being here. Thanks for letting me be a part of this. First, can everybody hear me okay? Cool. All right, yes, I'm Nick Azaro. My pronouns are he, him, his. This piece may, seem a little familiar, just Make America Great Already. Make America Great Again is probably something most people are familiar with at this point in this country. And that's naturally where this all came from, the campaign slogan of Making America Great Again. I would argue that most Americans have no problem with making America great. That should be the objective. It's the again part that's the issue. And this piece, which had been kind of floating around in my head for a while, is directed at that. I'm a second-year MFA student here at Stamps, but prior to this program, I worked as a public school teacher, and it's pretty obvious even before I was teaching that the greatest resource this country has is the youth, is the next generation, and the way to make things great is by investing in that and creating great leaders, helping to create great leaders. And that's not taking place, at least not in every school across the country. And much of it seems to come down to racial lines. And we're not going to go down that road right now, but if you want to talk to me about that, we can another day. So this piece was designed to challenge the making of America great again, using familiar imagery. I don't know if it would hurt the image to explain how I came up with this logo. I mean, you recognize it likely as the Ghostbusters. My son was watching. I have an 8-year-old son. He was watching Ghostbusters a lot one summer. And, but before it was this image, all of my work starts as dialogue or text first, and then I find a vehicle, an image or something to go along with it. And that's how these two came together. But I do hope to get back into the school system once out of here, likely, secondary education, middle school, high school level. That's where, well, every level needs a good amount of attention and resources. But if we want to see more, if we want to see greater change, coming into college and beyond, we got to start much sooner than what is taking place. So this image was designed to, hopefully start a conversation and take us down that path. And it was turned into small stickers as well as 4x4 stenciled graffiti-like installations. So it's been interpreted into a few different forms, and it will live on for a while. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that. So thank you again.
Excellent. Thank you, Nick. That was great. Okay. And cool that it was turned into stickers. Okay, next up is Adriana Ocala. Adriana, take it away.
Hi, everybody. I'm Adriana. I use she, they pronouns. I'm a senior at STAMPS. I'm studying on the BFA track, and I'm minoring in race, gender, and nation, which is the women inside of the women and gender studies category. So this piece I made for a class that I took last winter semester. It's called Interventions in Commerce with Rebecca Modrak. And the premise of this project is, it's kind of interesting because it didn't start out as a poster. The project was actually more of a photography thing, but it kind of made its way into a poster. And it's kind of about, I noticed around town, different kinds of like architecture that to me were like, I noticed like hostile architecture around Ann Arbor, like different benches that were purposefully slanted or not long enough to lay on. And so kind of going in the spirit of like, everything was remote, COVID was always at an all-time high, and I was thinking of other forms of hostile architecture in the city. And as I was walking around, I was thinking, I remember like months ago when COVID started happening and people were like going out to eat a lot, and there was these food tents, people being kind of a little bit enraged that, they're just building these quick structures for customers, really. And I remember at the time it was starting to get cold, and people were kind of questioning like, well, if you can invest in this quick like architecture for your customers, like why can't other people invest in the houseless communities that need shelter but are always told like, oh, we don't have anything or we can't make anything for them. And so to me, I was kind of a little bit PO'd by that. And so I made this project, which for me, I guess kind of similar to Nick, this started out as like a phrase and then kind of worked into imagery after that. So it says rapid shelter for customers while our community sleeps on concrete. And that's kind of like a poetic way of saying like, I think these food tents are just kind of a capitalist practice, and that they're investing in something that, we could be investing in the shelter and safety of other members of our community, and we're just simply not. So that's mostly what this is about. This photo in the middle was what kind of started the project, and that was taken in front of Hopcat, downtown Ann Arbor. And I actually didn't get, nobody confronted me when I was putting up, it's actually like a banner that I made with the word on it, and I hung it up on the tent. And nobody confronted me when I was installing it. And I didn't leave it there, which would have been interesting to see what would happen if I had left it there, but I didn't, because it was kind of windy and I just didn't want it to get ruined with the weather. Because I think actually the day that I hung this up was kind of a bad day because it was about to rain, but that's another story. In the future, like I really think that this is a project that I could revisit, just because I liked the idea of possibly going to other cities and like kind of walking around and seeing what kind of architecture they have there, and kind of doing like photography series with it is kind of the idea that I have right now. But yeah, I think that's it.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, up next is Hayden. So I want us all just to take a look at Hayden's poster here. Just take a minute to take a look at this, and then we are going to switch gears. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second. Okay, so I'm going to introduce Hayden Eric.
Hi everyone, my name is Hayden, and I made 147 is enough. It's a poster about the gun violence situation in the United States. And yeah, first I'm just going to talk about the title of 147 is enough. That refers to in April when I created this poster, that was how many mass shootings had occurred in the US. And I felt like it was enough. Like that seemed ridiculous to me that it had been the 4th month and there had already been 147 mass shootings. I would never I wouldn't have guessed that. If someone had said how many mass shootings do you think there have been in this country, I wouldn't have said 147. So I was quite disgusted when I learned about that. But what disgusted me further though was that I didn't feel like anyone around me was talking about it, which made it seem unimportant. And I would talk to my friends. I'd be like, dude, did you know that there's this many mass shootings right now? And they'd be like, no. It's just I felt like everyone I talked to felt so removed from it, and that was sort of the main drive for me. Is that, excuse me, I just really wanted to bring attention to this problem. But on a personal level, and from my experiences too, as just being my generation, going through high school was definitely, there were times where I was worried that my school was going to get shot up. Where I was from, there had been kids who had showed up to school with weapons in the past. There had been ex-students who had plotted mass shootings in my cities. That student got stopped, thank God. But yeah, it's just, post Parkland too, though, that really spooked me out. Was the Parkland shooter used the fire drill to lure students out to the hallways. So at school after Parkland, I was worried when fire drills would happen. I always had this thought run through my head, like, okay, is there going to be someone in the hallway with a gun? It was, and it's like, I just, it baffles me why I had to have that thought. Why do kids have to feel unsafe in high schools in this country? And what's even worse to me though is the kids that do get caught up in these mass shootings, the innocent children that get killed. It's incredibly senseless to me. It's a very avoidable problem, and a very U.S. problem though too. Like you look around the world, and you see in countries that have very strict gun control laws, Japan for instance, they have very, very few numbers of deaths related with guns. It's just, like around the world where you see stricter gun control laws, you're usually seeing less gun-related deaths. So there's a very what's the word? Very direct relationship with gun control laws and a number of deaths. And one thing I hear people say too, I just want to bring this up quickly, is that I hear people say, oh, in the U.S., the gun violence problem is a mental health problem. And, I don't want to say that it's not. I think it certainly is. But also I feel like that's almost a bit of a scapegoat. And I feel like that is, that's it's hard because yes, people need help. These people have mental health problems who are committing these crimes, but also there's these systems that are making it incredibly easy for people to get these weapons of just murder, these efficient killing weapons. It's very easy in the U.S. to get these weapons, and it really bothers me. And that's something else, another reason why I chose this topic. So for the process then of this poster, when I was beginning to develop it, I looked at other gun violence posters, and all of them that I saw were they're very on the nose. They're very just sort of general, like a very, very general sort of like, end gun violence, which is, it's fine. That's okay. But I wanted my poster to be a little more, I wanted it to be more personal and more sort of in the moment, because I felt, like I said, like no one was talking about this, and I wanted this to be a way for people to, I wanted to bring more attention to this problem, a way for people to recognize it more easily. So that's why I chose for the main headline of my poster to be 147 is enough, because from a distance or without context, that's a very vague statement. That's, there's a certain ambiguity to it. But when you're viewing the poster in person, that's something I personally enjoy about it, and that I wanted to put into it purposely, because I want people to first read it and say, oh, 147 is enough, and then I want them to be like, wait a second, that's a gun that the words are sitting on, and then, oh wait, like what does this mean? What's this about? Sort of in the same way that when I had first heard the news in April about all these mass shootings, the way I felt, I felt that was so eye-opening. It was like, wait, like what, So yeah, that's just sort of more about some of the choices I made on the poster. I'm just trying to think about things I left out on the poster. Really not much, to be honest. This was my first idea was pretty much what my final iteration of the poster looked like. One thing I wish I had explored more was just the way the body type sits on the weapon. I think the way the letters enough span down the gun would have been interesting to see it in the magazine of the weapon. So then the word itself could symbolize the power that these weapons have, and the power for change then. Just final thoughts. I really hope that this poster sort of it opens people's eyes and changes people's perspectives, and hopefully brings more attention to this crisis really that's going on in this country. I think mass shootings, it's a very serious problem. It needs this can't just continue. And I don't want the next generation of kids in this country to have to be living in fear in schools and in public places, and I mean anywhere in this country. I wish to see a lower risk of gun violence in general. Thank you for the time, and thank you for listening, guys.
Excellent. Thank you, Hayden. That was a pre-recorded presentation. Unfortunately, Hayden couldn't join us during this time, but that was great that he sent us a video. So I'm just going to go back to sharing my screen again. Okay. And just so you know, this is, yeah, Hayden's video that he was, or his poster that he was just speaking about. Okay, thanks, Hayden. Next up, so I think actually, you know, Sophie was going to switch locations. I don't think that she's back. So we might just go to the next, if that is okay, because I think she was having some internet trouble. So we're going to skip past Sophie for right now, but we're going to circle back around to her. And so next up is Lila McKinnon. So Lila, take it away.
Hi, my name is Lila. I'm a junior at STAMPS in the undergraduate program for the BFA. And I use she, they pronouns. So this poster for me is a lot about what we choose to put into our communities and how we choose to interact with our communities. I take a lot of artistic inspiration, well, honestly, like life inspiration from Keith Haring, who's a big influence in my early life. So it's just thinking about putting back into our communities. A lot of the original process that I went into making this poster was thinking about the phrase, "It takes a village." And that was actually the original concept for the poster. But I was just wanting to emphasize more the active choice we make every day when we interact with the people we live around, the people we work with, the people we see every day, and thinking about how we help each other and about what we can give back to each other every day. Because it really does take a full community working together and making the active choice to help and to be better people than they were the day before. So that was the large concept behind this.
Excellent. Lila, thank you so much. That was wonderful. Okay, so I see Sophie popped back on. So Sophie, are you good?
Yes, I'm good to go.
Excellent. All right, so I'm gonna go back. Oops. Okay, and I will hand it over to Sophie.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Sophie Herjic, and I'm a junior pursuing a Bachelor of Art and a minor in Business, Global Studies, and Entrepreneurship. And I'm going to be talking about my piece called No Rest Until Peace. So with the death of George Floyd and the ensuing protests for the Black Lives Matter movement during last summer, I felt the responsibility to create a piece of work to respond boldly to the events that had happened. George Floyd's death on May 25, 2020 was followed by several widely publicized incidents that exposed the deep racial issues in American society right now. The death of Ahmaud Arbery on February 23rd, the murder of Breonna Taylor on March 13th, and the violent police acts pressed upon peaceful protesters all became obvious, tragic symptoms of a simmering unrest deep in the veins of our country. As the world began to react to the tragedy of George Floyd, among others, his well-recognized portrait quickly became a symbol of injustice and a call for change in our society, flooding the internet and the streets in the form of posters and signs. As a student and artist, my response to the issues was to take Floyd's ubiquitous portrait and translate it into a graphic poster that was not only a testimony of the times, but a demand for peace. I wanted to make a bold visual message. To create my poster, I chose digital illustration as my medium in order to have a piece that has a very graphic style. I began with the portrait first and used geometric shapes to illustrate George Floyd's portrait as an important detail that played into the piece. When creating the portrait, I took inspiration from an artist you all may know, Shepard Fairey. You might know his really famous piece of Obama with the red and the blue colors. He has a very graphic style for political protest posters that I liked, so I used that as an inspiration. once I had illustrated the face, I wanted to do something more in the background rather than just doing a solid color. So I thought about what I could do, and I started off by doing a bed of roses, which I felt gave more of like a human-like ceremonial depiction of his death rather than having him be just a sign of brutality, which was very common in the press, and that's just how the media depicted it at the time. And so when experimenting with the leftover space, I kind of let like myself keep that as a piece. I thought that was important. And then for the messaging, I wanted to do something that was very like protest poster like, and so I decided to use this phrase, no rest until peace, which is kind of a play on the classic phrase rest in peace. And I thought it acted more of a call to action rather than like a conclusive statement that we often associate it with. And then another thing about the background is you can notice that there's this kind of fiery red color in the background, and I wanted that to kind of symbolize how, though there's like this bed of roses in the front and it's kind of like a tribute to him, in the background there's like this color that kind of symbolizes like the fires that would have been happening at the same time during protests. So when I made this, I actually submitted it to something called Amplifier Arts, which is a nonprofit design. And it's cool because they have different campaigns every now and then just for like current social issues that are happening. So they had one called We the Future and voting rights. And there's so many different talented artists that submit their works to it. So I kind of created this at the time for that. And then I ended up wanting to make t-shirts as well for it, and donated all the money that we had made to National Bailout, which is a Black-led and Black-centered collective, including activists, lawyers, and others that are dedicated to ending mass incarceration. So as a whole, I'm like very excited that I got to do this at the time, and now I'm getting to include it in this show as well. And kind of like my ask for other artists is that we continue to create work that is messaging that challenges and encourages society, whichever is needed in the current moment. That's all I have. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Sophie. Okay. So up next, there's Lila's. So Bryce did not join us today, but I'll just give you a minute to take a look at their poster and give you a minute to read the description. Okay. And then just keep going. So next up is Molly Wu. And, you know, I did see Molly here. I don't know if she wanted to say anything about the work, or Molly, do you want to talk?
Sure, hi.
Excellent, cool.
Yeah, so I created this piece. It's called Sliced Fruit Against Anti-Asian Hate. And I created it around February when videos first started coming out of people or sporadic incidents of people shoving elderly Asian people on the sidewalk. And as a San Francisco native, I grew up around the streets that these incidents were occurring. So when I was at school in Michigan, I was watching from these videos of my old work commute or like sidewalk corners where I would run into my uncle sometimes only a few months ago. And it was like obviously really scary to watch, but it was also really scary to watch happen at places that you walk through all the time, or places where you know your older Asian relatives live. And so it was really disturbing to everyone who watched it. And when I was reading more of these cases, and as the cases kept rising, I it was also scary to notice that they looked a lot like my relatives. So I wanted to kind of create this poster that represented that discomfort and anxiety feeling of watching these incidents of really, really innocent, vulnerable people that aren't a visual threat to anybody or an immediate threat to anybody. So I kind of have this analogy or metaphor for the way I was feeling with this, with sliced oranges and porcelain plates. So this is the language of affection for the vulnerable community that was being attacked. So the elderly Asian love language is often sliced fruit given to their loved ones or young people instead of saying things like "I love you." So this picture kind of shows a plate of non-threatening, vulnerable oranges and fragile porcelain being kind of shoved or thrown into the air. So I wanted to, respond to this hate with love and nonviolence and everything. So I wanted something that seemed friendly, but also kind of made you uncomfortable or kind of worried for the falling of these fragile things that are about to hit the floor. And I put it on social media and I put it on Etsy, and I was able to raise almost $2,000 so far to all go to Stop Asian Hate to help the victims of these attacks.
Excellent. Thanks, Molly. That was great. Okay. And then next up is Shannon Shang.
Hello, I'm Shannon. I'm a senior studying art and design and philosophy. And this is actually a video titled Fractal Trees. And it is something I designed for the CMYK design jam early in March. And the prompt was about prototyping something that would help a certain community achieve wellness, encourage their well-being. And the first thing I thought of obviously was the AAPI community and the attacks that Molly was describing. And I wanted to sort of channel the AAPI community's collective anger and fear into creating a peaceful and tranquil space where Asian elders could do their traditional well-being practices and also receive community support. So the proposal was to have this video projected into spaces that used to be safe spaces for the Asian elderly, and also have posters, which are not shown, but posters that encourage bystander intervention. And this idea partially came about because I noticed that a lot of the responses to anti-Asian hate crimes involved kind of forcing Asian elders out of spaces that they had once deemed to be safe, such as giving them whistles or self-defense items, having those places be patrolled, and just delivering groceries to them and having them stay home. And to push back against that, I wanted to make something that would allow these people again to reoccupy the spaces. Yeah, for the video itself, I used the processing IDE and made this out of base code that was just a common fractal trees exercise for people who start using processing. And the trees just change colors. They alternate through pastel tones. And the reason I chose fractals was because fractals are, or viewing them rather, either natural fractals or computer generated fractals are associated with stress relief and stress reduction. And I thought that if the elderly could have something like that kind of ambiently playing, that it would be a welcoming space.
Excellent. Thank you, Shannon. And I'm so sorry that we don't have the video here to play, but good reason for everyone to and to come and see the exhibition, the entire exhibition, because the posters really have a physicality and it's really incredible to be in the same space as them, but to come and watch the video, because it is it's stunning. It's really beautiful and mesmerizing to watch on the flat screen where it's installed. So yeah, thank you, Shannon, and thank you to all of you, and congratulations again. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're going to move into sort of our Q&A portion. Just give me a second. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so if anybody does have questions, I of course have a bunch of questions, and I was talking to some of the artists before we got on about some of those questions. So I'll start with some of my questions, but if anybody else has questions for any of the artists, please feel free to drop that in the chat. If you would like to jump on screen or mute to ask your question, that's fine too. We're a small group, so yeah, it would be great. We can just have a conversation. So yeah, when I ask my questions, any of the artists, feel free to jump in. It would be wonderful for each of you to respond, but don't feel that you have to respond to each of the questions. Yeah, just excited to hear what you have to, some of your answers. So, so I'm going to start with my question about the use of color. And I think that this can go, the use of color and the way that you're using color, the way that you're using specific colors to either represent or evoke certain attitudes, ideas, or emotions. Maybe what were some of the reasons behind some of your choices with color? Do you approach color differently when you're creating a poster or a video versus, potentially another medium like a painting or a film? Or a photograph? How is that experience for you? Yeah, so I guess I'll just open it up to that. And yeah, I would love to hear from all of you about color and the use of color in your work.
When creating my piece, I actually changed the colors like 3 different times in the process of making it. Like I said, I referenced Shepard Fairey's work, where he does like usually 2 main colors and different tones of those 2 colors. And so I try to do that because for a poster that's like so graphic, usually you want it to be like clear, like right when you look at it, and not have like too much going on. So it's graphic. And so I chose like the fiery reddish orange color. And if you look at the poster, it's kind of like split in half between like kind of like unpeaceful and then peaceful, because at the top it says no rest, and then at the bottom it says until peace, and the colors are split up. So I chose indigo as like a cool color to contrast that fiery red. But I could have done it in different ways. Just I thought those 2 looked good together and kind of captured the emotion that I wanted.
I also had to go through a few cycles of color just because my poster, if you noticed, is one single color on a white background. And usually most of my work is a black outline and either left like that or then fill with color, but I chose to use a lighter, softer color just to make it feel a little more blended into your environment and a little less in your face about something. It's a gentle reminder, not a call to action so much.
Interesting.
I had a similar approach to Lila, like I can definitely nod to the intention of making something that seemed not very bold and harsh, but it seemed, or like I kind of wanted to make mine seem sweet, and then encourage people to intrigue more about what the meaning behind the poster is. And the more like you keep digging into things that might be very innocent or just kind of look nice, the more you can like find more meaning into it, and it takes on a whole different message. So I thought that was, yeah, I can definitely relate.
Does anyone else want to talk about the use of color in their work?
I guess I could speak a little bit. I mean, I didn't really go through any phases of like picking multiple colors or deciding, because I kind of started with this like base image that I took of the installation. And so that kind of took control over what the rest of the color palette was for the poster. But I did want to stick with like a cool neutral palette, because I think it kind of like evoked the like concrete jungle type of feeling that I was going for. But yeah.
So I'm normally a painter, but making like visual art with code was something I recently discovered. And so during that time, I was taking creative programming with Sophia Bruckner, and when choosing the pastel tones, I guess I was limited by my knowledge of how to create that color with code. So that's definitely why, part of the reason why they're that color. But I also wanted to make the colors more muted and less harsh. So it took a lot of trial and error.
I'll chime in too, just to say, but my colors were predetermined. I think that goes without saying. But.
Excellent. Cool. Well, thank you all. That was very interesting, yeah, to hear about some of the color choices. Thank you. So one of my next questions was, and Shannon kind of touched on this a little bit, that the video was kind of, or the use of video was a new medium for her, and that she typically paints, and which is very interesting. And so I guess to continue on that, I'm interested in asking all of you, was making a poster, and Shannon, for you, a video, what, was this the first time that you did it? If so, what was that sort of experience like? How did you approach this medium differently than you have approached other mediums, if any way at all? What is unique about creating a poster, did you find? And Shannon, what is unique about creating a video that you find and very separate and different, with the process? Yeah, I'll leave it there if anyone wants to.
I'll start. Oh no, go ahead.
Okay. I'm actually very inexperienced with video in general, so my comments will be like, not that advanced. But I actually really enjoy making posters, but the difference is mainly that videos have more of an obvious storyline or narrative. You have to define like beginning, middle, end, and with posters, it's like, how can you be most impactful? Because not everyone is going to like linger around and like stare at the poster, but people will likely stay until the video has progressed to some point. Yeah.
I'll jump in now. There's something fun about posters. They've been around forever. Most of us have grown up with them. They haven't changed a lot since they've originated. Just they've been used to put out political messages. They've been used to put out advertisements, all kinds of things. But they're easy to create for the most part, unless your design is really intricate. But I mean, producing them is not that difficult, and that allows them to be many places. You're not as worried. It's not a piece of fine art. So in theory, you can get your message out more. That's what I like about it. I mean, that, stickers, all of the above, but posters are a lot of fun.
Adriana, was this the first time that you created a poster?
Actually, it was, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not really like a graphic designer or poster artist or anything like that. I mean, the only other posters I've made in the past were just like little hand drawings for just things that were coming up, events and stuff like that. But I feel like the process was pretty relatively simple, just because like I already kind of had a starting point, which is the image that I took. And I knew like what I wanted the message to be. And so it was like kind of easy just because of the circumstances with that. But definitely something that I would want to play around with more. And I wish, you know, I love the nature of posters, of how, you know, you can print a bunch of them and just throw them up anywhere. And I wish that that was something that I had done with this project, but I didn't. But maybe in the future, or, you know, it's not too late, but
You still can.
I know, I'm just like, do I want to right now? Maybe. Class is kind of hard, but
Lila, what about you? Was this the first time that you created a poster?
I not really. I mean, I grew up in, high school, middle school, designing posters for, school dances or whatever. And then now a lot of the work I do is very pictorial and design oriented. So posters are a pretty normal part of my repertoire. I struggle more with the wording to go with posters than I do the images. So that's always a little bit of a thing. But I do a lot of postery work.
What comes first for you, Lila? Is it the image or the text?
It's usually the image.
Okay.
The text is added on afterwards, or the text influences the image, and then I don't end up using the actual text, and I use a different text instead. Martha Kurps has posted a question in the chat about
thank you.
artistic influences, and I thought I'd answer that. I'd give an answer for that really quickly too, since I'm already talking. Sorry if I sound terrible, by the way. I'm just getting over being really sick. So I definitely feel like I'm taking a lot from Nick Azaro's work, and also Molly Wu's. Molly's definitely really stopped me in my tracks the first time I saw it, because I love the bright color usage and the clean imagery, which is like the opposite of what I usually use, which is like no line and all imagery, where I'm like all line. And then Nick Azaro's work is very pictorial, which is something that I really enjoy and that I'm working on developing a stronger sense of. So I think I take a lot from both of their works.
Okay, Martha, thank you so much for your question. And thank you, Lila, for, sorry, I didn't even see it down there, so thank you. Sophie or Molly, do you want to either answer Martha's question, or Sophie, if you want to talk about, yeah.
I took a typography class last semester, and I kind of did the same thing as Hayden, where we had to move the like letters around and create like shapes and large posters out of literally just like letters and numbers. And so when I saw his piece, I was like, that is an amazing like depiction of what we had been doing in our class, and like how bold it is with the black and the red. Like I just thought that was very successful in like portraying that number, especially because the title of the poster is a number. And I just found it very successful and intriguing, but also very clean and simple at the same time, which I thought was awesome.
I'm going to open up if anyone, Shannon, Adriana, Nick, Molly, if you want to answer Martha's question. Great question.
I'll jump in if everyone's cool. What I'm going to say sounds like I'm taking the easy way out, but I'm not. This is something coming from experience. I'm taking something from all of your work. I like that everyone's got a different message and an approach, and that's over time I've realized it helps inform my own work as I'm going, not stealing anyone's style, but learning how people interpret different things and the messages they're trying to say. So this really interesting brief Zoom encounter has already been informative, and I've enjoyed seeing all of your work. So yeah, thank you, and thanks for being bold enough to share it with the world.
I can also respond. Yeah, I think noticing like how people are pulling their classroom experience into their posters is really interesting. I actually just graduated, so I took creative programming and like typography and like poster design and stuff like that, and I can definitely see like all of the professor lessons that I learned a couple years ago like go back into the work. So it's really interesting, and they're really valuable lessons that I always remember and like keep echoing in the back of my process. I feel like I didn't consciously think of any artists when I was working on this poster, but I think Murakami, the Japanese artist with the cartoon flower, he has the Louis Vuitton bags. That's I feel like was probably a subconscious influence of mine, because the flower is super happy and sweet and it's supposed to look innocent and fun. But it was created from a time of kind of post like national despair. So like the flower is actually crying if you look at it a little closer and stuff. So I thought that was like also something that's kind of the same vibe I was going for, like a sad happy, where yeah, the more you dig, the more you want to find out, the more you know the true meaning.
I can go next. I'm also like find a little bit of everything in everybody's piece, but Sophie's in particular, I feel I'm very inspired by, because I have kind of an emotional response to it, because in 2020 I was at a protest in Grand Rapids, which is where I'm from, and the title of the piece, like No Rest Until Peace, is very similar to the chant that we all had, which was no rest, no peace. And or no peace, no rest, or it is like either backwards, whatever. But it just reminds me of that time period and how revolutionary it all felt, and it just kind of inspires me, because it was a really inspiring time, and it just still makes me want to continue to make work that is challenging different things in our societies and things like that. So that's what I really.
Shannon, did you want to answer that question, or?
Sure. I'm doing senior, like a capstone project this year, and I am inspired by how Adriana incorporated kind of I don't know if that's performance art or like just kind of intervening with the environment. I think that's really interesting and definitely something I would like to experiment with. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so before we wrap up, we're at like 5:05. So before we wrap up, I just want to ask, does anyone, I want to kind of open up the floor and see if anyone has any sort of ending remarks, something that they really wanted to say about their work, but they didn't have a chance to. Is there any sort of last words from anyone? Okay, Adriana, Shannon, Sophie, Lila, Nick, Molly, thank you so much. What an incredible discussion. Thank you for your presentations. Thank you for your work. Incredible. yeah, this was really wonderful. So thank you all for joining us, to all of our guests. What a great conversation and a lovely way to wrap up our Friday. So yeah, excellent. Thank you so much. Hope to see you soon. Please come to Stamps Gallery. Go to Stamps School of Art and Design website, to Stamps Gallery. You can check out, again, they'll remind you of our hours, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., Thursday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come and see the exhibition, and congratulations to you all. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
everyone.